Tired of dealing with annoying flies, fruit flies, and gnats in your home? The Zevo Flying Insect Trap is your ultimate solution. Don't wait. Check out the link in the video description now to get your Zevo Flying Insect Trap on Amazon and enjoy a bug-free home today.
The Tuesday Letters page thinks Sony was right to buy Bungie, as one reader hopes Monolith Soft's next game is not Xenoblade Chronicles 4. To join in with the discussions yourself, email gamecentral@metro.co.uk. First-person classic. The new rumors about Half-Life 3 come at a surprising time for me, as I only played the first two games, via the fan remakes, a few weeks ago, and I've been meaning to write in about my experiences anyway. I don't know how controversial they are, but I actually enjoyed the first one quite a bit more than the second, now that the mods make the graphics less of an issue. The biggest problem is that Half-Life 2 feels too long and, for me at least, lacked momentum. All those awkward semi-open world sections with the buggy and just the sense of every idea being dragged out for just a bit too long. I'm sure it was all amazing at the time, but in the present day it just drags. I also felt the gunplay was pretty mediocre. For some reason I didn't really think of Half-Life as a first-person shooter before I played them, but even with the gravity gun it totally is. Predictably, the problem with the first Half-Life is the ending in the alien world, which is pretty terrible even in the remake, but beyond that I had more fun with it. Although the fact that either of them hold up at all well after all this time is a sign that their classic status is still pretty much deserved. Norm Turtle. Asset denial. To be honest, if I was Sony, I would have bought Bungie for $3.6 billion. They're not worth it, but stopping Microsoft from owning them was an important move from Sony. In an ideal world everything would be multi-format, but it's blindingly obvious that Microsoft would have had Bungie working on Halo before the check had even dried. And no matter how it turned it couldn't be worse than what 343 Industries has done, and the hype would be enormous, revitalizing the brand and the Xbox, at least for a time. As it is now, Halo is a dead franchise and I've no idea how to revive, and I'm sure Microsoft doesn't either. If Sony's so keen on live service games, I'm sure they can find a use for Bungie, no matter what happens to Destiny 2. They only need the developers, not the useless management. Crony. Overwatch is all the way down. It does make me wonder when I see people talking about gloom and doom in the games industry, as if people are making everything up about the terrible things that have been happening lately. If you look at the news and think everything is hunky-dory, then I really don't know what to say. It feels like climate change deniers, who think if they refuse to accept a thing is real then somehow it'll magically go away. None of the current problems stop great games from being made, or at least not at the moment. In the future they might though, so unless you want to be playing nothing but free-to-play Overwatch clones in the future, I suggest paying more attention to the news and not being so glib about developers being laid off by the busload. Golem. Email your comments to gamecentral@metro.co.uk. Same as it ever was. I didn't know that Santa Monica Studio had had layoffs before the God of War reboot, and that's why that sci-fi game was cancelled. The utter indifference this industry has towards the people that make the games will never cease to amaze me. I guess it's because so many of them work in America where you can be sacked for literally no reason, at a moment's notice. Seriously, it's called the at-will law. People point out there's been no layoffs in Japan, but there's been relatively little in Europe either. Most of those that there have been, has been related to American companies or Embracer Group, and even then they can't get rid of people instantly like they can in the US. No wonder so many people over there are trying to unionize. Even if it is after the horse has bolted. No Joe. Unsung heroes. Nice to see Monolith Soft staffing up, ahead of the Switch 2 release. I think if it wasn't for Xenoblade Chronicles being fairly nerdy Japanese roleplayers, they'd be recognized as one of the best developers in the business. Their technical ability on the Switch, or any Nintendo hardware, is second to none, and they're the main reason that the last two Zelda games have looked so amazing. Personally, I hope they make something new this time. Something a bit more grounded and accessible, that doesn't fall into all the anime tropes that Xenoblade